This is CNN Breaking News.
All right, I have some very sad news, some breaking news just into us here at CNN. United States Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia has died.
Wow. Well, first, that is a rare case of CNN's dramatic breaking news banner actually being justified. Because normally it's reserved for informing us that a man named Wolf is going into a tunnel. Or that a major news event occurred over a century ago. And look, let's be honest, there are a lot of strong feelings surrounding Antonin Scalia, but whatever you think of him, his death is the end of an era on the Supreme Court. He was a hugely significant justice, and for the purposes of our Supreme Court, he was an absolutely adorable bulldog. So obviously, this is a very sad day for his family and his friends, and it's also a tough day for us here at the show, partly because I now have to murder that dog. Hey, you knew the deal, Pickles. You signed the contract. The fact is, there is now a huge vacancy on the Supreme Court that needs to be filled. Or, if you listen to the Republicans in the past 24 hours, not.
In an unprecedented move, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell immediately released a statement saying this vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president.
We're not going to give up the U.S. Supreme Court for a generation by allowing Barack Obama to make one more liberal appointee.
I think it's up to Mitch McConnell and everybody else to stop it. It's called delay, delay, delay.
Well, that does not bode well, because Mitch McConnell is actually pretty good at delaying things for people, whether it's legislation, court appointments, or orgasms. Believe me, if you ever need to delay, just picture that face, and I guarantee you nothing will happen, possibly for the rest of your life. Now, interestingly, a strange unwritten rule of the Senate is being cited to justify this behaviour.
There is a rule in the Senate. It's an informal rule called the Thurmond Rule. The rule that Strom Thurmond put forward was no president in the last 6 months of their presidency should be able to appoint a judge that has a lifetime appointment.
Yes, the Strom Thurmond Rule. Now, I'm not surprised that there is one. It's just I thought it would always be about the amount of hush money required to keep your secret family a secret, or how racist an old person is allowed to be before their age is no longer an excuse. But if Mitch McConnell does want to evoke this rule, he will need to be careful, because during the George W. Bush years, when Democrats were trying to pull this Thurmond Rule bullshit to prevent lower court appointments, he was pretty categorical about it.
Our Democratic colleagues continually talk about the so-called Thurmond Rule, under which the Senate supposedly stops confirming judges in a presidential election year. This seeming obsession with this rule that doesn't exist is just an excuse for our colleagues to run out the clock on qualified nominees who are waiting to fill badly needed vacancies.
Yes, it seems the Thurmond Rule is a bit like God. When things are going your way, you don't bring it up a lot. But as soon as you're in trouble, it is all that you talk about. And it's also worth noting that the Thurmond Rule generally applies to the last 6 months of a president's term. So even if it does apply, it wouldn't come into effect until July 20th. Although, what more fitting tribute to the life and work of Antonin Scalia than the Senate really trying to stretch the definition of late term? And also, it's weird. It's weird to see a debate over an unwritten rule when you consider what Antonin Scalia stood for.
You talk about someone who defended consistently the original meaning of the Constitution, who understood that the Constitution was not there to be interpreted based on the fads of the moment, but that it was there to be interpreted according to its original meaning.
He's right. Scalia loved the letter of the law. So let's look at the letter that applies here, shall we? Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution says the President shall nominate and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint judges of the Supreme Court. That's the President, this President. There is nothing in the Constitution about you getting to delay him for a year because of some bullshit tradition. So to Senate Republicans, I say this. If you really loved Antonin Scalia, you wouldn't honour his memory by desecrating the thing he loved the most. Think of Scalia like a Brita filter or a child's hamster. Why don't you honour his entire reason for being by swiftly and efficiently replacing him?